guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here to do a video I like to do about once a month, and that is books I'm currently obsessed with. Now, these are 4- and 5-star reads, and they are ones that I'm just like, you have to read them. I need to talk about them. I haven't done a wrap-up yet, and I just need another excuse to talk about these books. So I'm very excited to talk about these, but before I get into it, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, which is Max Monroe. I did mention this book in my anticipated January releases video, and I remembered talking about this, and I was just like, this synopsis. This book has one of my favorite tropes, which is the amnesia trope, but not in the way it normally plays out. So the heroine gets in a car accident with her husband, and when they wake up, she remembers everything he doesn't. And a woman shows up pregnant with his child. So he was cheating on her, and she is like, what the heck? So now she is divorced. She has 2 sons, so she's a single mom, and her ex just is not in the picture anymore. But then she falls for 2 different men. We have a very successful businessman who's really into her and isn't afraid to tell her he's into her. Then we have a bachelor doctor who has tons of women always coming after him, and she does not know who to choose. There is a smart choice, and then there's also a choice that her heart is drawing her towards. So who is she gonna pick after having her heart completely obliterated by her ex-husband? And definitely check out Cluelessly Yours. I love that it takes a spin on the amnesia romance, but makes it a different character and is the reasoning for the heroine leaving her husband and going and finding 2 eligible men that she has to decide between. So check out Cluelessly Yours, and thank you so much to Max Monroe for sponsoring this video. One book, I have 20% left, but literally I'm obsessed. It has been my workout book, so if I am not like feeling working out that week, I always pick a book that I'm like, this is the book that I'm only allowed to read on my Kindle on the treadmill, and I'm not allowed to touch it any other time, and it really motivates me to work out and get excited to work out. But that is Requiem by Callie Hart. I know Tori is telling me I told you so in the background because this was one of her favorite books of 2022, and I bought this, I think someone gifted it to me. I'm pretty sure I got this as a gift. Yes, Samantha from Books with Samantha gifted this to me. I think it was from Christmas of 2022. I'm pretty sure. So I've had this for a very long time, and it finally won my Patreon Picks What I Read. I pick a book from a mug of submissions from my patrons, and this was the pick for January. This is so good, and this also has a bit of amnesia happening because the heroine's best friend dies, and she has a lot of holes of what happened that night, but she knows that Theo is the one who did it, and she is training and goes to this prep school with the intent to kill him in revenge. That's all I want to say about this book. It is so surprising, but like the way the hero is just so in love and obsessed. I love a hero who is just like desperately in love with the heroine, and that is the hero in this book, at least where we are right now. So I'm very excited to see how it ends. I just have not read anything like this, and it is so good. It is for sure going to be a 5-star read. That's why I feel comfortable talking about it in this video, but why did I not read this sooner? Sorry, it's almost dinner, and Lily is getting a little impatient. She's sitting right behind the camera. Are you okay, Lil? Are you okay? Are you okay? Then we have The Season of Secrets by Kiwi Tyler. This one was such a fun, longer novella, and it is a taboo romance, and it is between a boss and an employee. This one also has a hero who fell first. Like, he interviewed her for the position of a secretary, and he was just like, oh my god, she's it. But he never made a move. It is definitely against the rules at their company, even though I don't remember if he's the CEO, but he like pretty much owns the company. And he is super into her, but he doesn't make a move, and he gets really jealous of anybody in the company that like notices her. And so what happens is that it's their Christmas party, and she finally is like, why don't you take me home to your house? And he is like, fine, like I can't resist you. So he takes her home, and obviously, she learns of his feelings for her, and it's super, super spicy. It would not be Kiwi Tyler without the spice, and she is a lot younger, though. So he is about her dad's age, and her dad is the hero in The Worst Kept Secret. So this is a spinoff. We know the side plot in The Worst Kept Secret was the fact that the daughter was in love with someone the dad's age, and he was like mad about it, and that like they had to deal with that. Those characters didn't make an appearance in this book, but this one was just so fun. I had so much fun. They had to go on a business trip together, and Kiwi Tyler just delivers on the spice and the taboo forbidden, and I loved it. Another one that I really enjoyed was Do Your Worst by Rosie Danan. This was a 4-star read for me, but I think it was just so unique and I really loved listening to it. I listened to the entire audiobook in one day while I was like working on my puzzle, and it takes place in Scotland with an archaeologist and a curse breaker, and she is like treated like she does find curses and she breaks them. Like that is in her family, and she shows up and she meets the hero at a pub actually the night before they go to work, and they share a kiss and they're like really attracted to each other. Like, maybe we can see where this leads. Then they meet at work and they're like, oh. And he definitely judges her for her job. And she's like, I don't like a guy who is like very judgy and mean and thinks he's better than everybody. So they start butting heads, and then they have to work together though because he's trying to find objects in this estate, this like, I don't know if it's a castle, but more like this like mansion kind of thing. And she is there to break the curse, but she's finding these objects before him because she's using the magic to find it. And he's like, magic isn't real. So I think it's a lot of fun. Like they definitely really don't like each other and really know how to push each other's buttons, because they did open up to each other about their insecurities, about different things about them, like him with his family and his brother and their reputations as archaeologists because his dad's like super famous, and her with her family and how they've been treated because of their profession. And so I had so much fun listening to this. Like it does not have good reviews, but if that sounds fun to you, go ahead and read it. I didn't take it too seriously. The audiobook was great and I love the cover, so I really enjoyed this one. Then a book that is going to be a favorite of the year, Powerless by Lauren Roberts. You may be wondering, hasn't this already been in an obsessed video before? Yes, I picked this up in either October or November and I read the first 200 pages and I was obsessed. And then reading got the best of me where I had to read. I was flooded with arcs in October and November. I was flooded with video ideas, and then I did Vlogmas in December, and I just like didn't have time to pick this back up. And I really wanted to do a dedicated reading vlog for it, so I'm finally doing that vlog now, and I'm obsessed. The end of this book had me freaking out. My sister had already read it a while ago. After I had bought it and said I was gonna read it, she got to it before me. She loved it. I'm sitting on the couch reading the last 200 pages, freaking out at like every other line to her, and it was so good. So the heroine is powerless. She is an ordinary. In this society, they literally hunt down and kill ordinaries. They are said to diminish the powers of people who have power. Obviously, that's not true. She's been living among them and has not affected them. Like nobody knows. She acts like she has powers of like psychic ability, so that she is able to like read things about people, but she's just very observant and is able to do it that way, kind of like the show Psych. So he is actually the enforcer for the crown because he's a prince. His dad is the king and his older brother is the prince, like in line to the throne, so he is now the king's enforcer, where he goes and kills people. And his power is to use anybody's power around him, so he can immediately tell if someone's an ordinary because they don't have power. So she's able to say, well, it's a very weak power and like you can't feel it. And so he believes her, and they meet and they end up being chosen to enter this competition, and they have to fight pretty much to the death. Like it's not actually fight to the death to win, but you can kill anybody you want on your way there. So we have this competition thrown in, and they're falling for each other, and she's getting closer with his older brother too. I was worried it would be a love triangle. It's not a love triangle, but it's so good. I loved all the characters in here, and the ending had me freaking out, and now I have to wait till July for book 2. This book is amazing. Please read it if you haven't yet. Then we have a book that comes out on Friday, and this is Twilight of Embers by Tessa Hale. This has an all-star cast of narrators. Vanessa Moyen is the female narrator. Then we have Connor Crace, Joe Arden, Jacob Morgan, Teddy Hamilton, and Jason Clark are the heroes in this because it is a Why Choose Dragon Shifter romance. The audiobook just knocked my socks off. It was amazing. And this one is our heroine. It starts out where she loses her parents, and now she is 18. She is going to a new college. She shows up, she meets Knox, and he is immediately like smelling her like, oh my god, like she's one of us. She has no idea. She has no idea that she has magic, and the heroes are all dragon shifters. And we have twin brothers, Knox and Easton, and then we have 3 other characters. We have a professor. So Knox is like a football player, hotshot on campus. Easton is just very broody, moody, doesn't like anybody, including her. Then we have Kale, who is this like Viking kind of guy who he is very damaged. He has scars. He went through a lot of bad things. We have Killian, who is the like billionaire club owner, and then we have Maddox, who is the professor. So those are all of her mates, and she has no idea what she is, who she is, or what they are. She starts becoming friends with Knox, slowly gets introduced to the other guys, and things go from there, and it is so good. And there's a giant cliffhanger at the end that I am dead over because it's going to be a trilogy. Tessa Hale writes Why Choose trilogies, and they're really short. You can fly through them. I think the audiobook is like 7 hours. It is so good. Highly recommend checking it out when it releases because I loved it. Okay, I kept these last two for last because I literally do not stop talking about them because I've recently read them and I'm obsessed. So were you expecting this? We have Poison Roses by Tate James and Jamin Eve. I flew through this one. This was actually my, I think it was the November pick from my Patreon. They are picking the most amazing books for me to read. I love them so much. This one, so Why Choose, and it is a rockstar romance, and the heroine is running away basically from the mob because she had history with them and she saw someone get killed and now they want to kill her. So she's running away and runs into the arms of a guy in a band, and it is a band that her ex is in who absolutely hates her, but the other guy in the band is like, she's really special, I really like her, and it's gonna be her romance with two of the guys in the band. I'm assuming her ex too because he's definitely not over her, and I don't know if there's gonna be anybody else in there, but this is a 4-book series. I've only read the first one, but I'm literally obsessed and I cannot wait to read more. I devoured this and I am just in love. So I'm determined to read the entire series this month or next month or sometime soon. Speaking of series and Why Choose, the next series is going to be the Saint View Prison series by Elle Thorpe. I recently read this. I read book 1 actually I think over a year ago on a road trip. I remember listening to the entire thing in one day while I was driving somewhere. I don't remember where I was driving, but it was somewhere, and I loved it, and it had a cliffhanger, but Hoopla didn't have the rest of the series, and I was like, this is annoying, and I'm trying not to buy audiobooks that I don't need to and just listen to what I already have or have access to through the library. I recently checked back, and I don't know why I didn't think sooner, and I was like, oh my god, they have the rest of the series. So this is a Why Choose romance where the heroine's sister is murdered, and they think it is her sister's ex-boyfriend. She had hooked up with the ex-boyfriend the night before, and he woke up in bed with her covered in her blood, the sister. So he was arrested for the crime. He's like, I don't remember anything. Like, I literally just woke up in her bed covered in her blood. And so he goes to prison. She is like, I don't think he did it. She's devastated her sister's dead. She wants justice, and she's like, I don't think this guy did it. So she decides to get a job as a teacher in the prison, and she has a lawyer helping with stuff, and it's her romance with a lawyer, a prison guard, and the guy in prison, and it is so good. The first book has such an intense cliffhanger, and I went like a year and a half not knowing else what happened next. It picks right up at the beginning of book 2, the cliffhanger from book 1, and it was so good, so action-packed and like super suspenseful, which I love because like she's working in a prison with these like really bad guys, and how are they gonna get him justice? Like, it's gotta have an HEA, right? It was so good. I loved it. I listened to literally book 2 in a day and book 3 in a day. I sat down at my kitchen table, was working on puzzles like the entire time, and could not stop listening. I'm pretty sure I finished and read book 3 on Christmas Day. Like, it was around Christmas time. I was obsessed. If you like Why Choose, you like more action, pick these up. They were so good. And those are books that I'm recently super obsessed with. Let me know what you've been reading lately and what you loved, or if you read any of these, I would love to hear. And again, thank you so much to Max Monroe for sponsoring this video. Make sure you check out Cluelessly Yours for a single mom who finds out bad things about her husband, divorces him, and has 2 potential love interests, and see who she ends up picking. And that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.